All right, welcome back, Powers on Sports Podcast. We are joined by my man, my tag team partner during the football season, co-host of the No Quarter Given podcast. I'm a guest on his show, The Sports Web, all over social media and online. Peter does a couple of shows a week. Peter Blake, host of The Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk media here in the Tampa Bay area. He covers the Bucks, the Lightning, the Rays, USF, and all things in between. Welcome in, Peter Blake.
It's good to be back, my friend. And I tell you right now, every time you come on my show, and we got to get you on the show more often, we get like all kinds of crazy phone calls. Like it's 5-6 calls at a time. They want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to the Power Man himself, Powers on Sports Podcast, Jason Powers. It's good to be back, my friend.
Appreciate it. It's about 3 weeks to training camp. I know you're getting excited about that all over the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's especially here in the Tampa Bay area. We got our big question is who's the quarterback going to be down here in the Tampa Bay area? Is it one Baker Mayfield? Is it Kyle Trask? That's going to be the interesting question down here in Tampa Bay in training camp. We're going to talk couple things. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of big picture NFL topics, a couple of MLB topics, trade deadline coming up here. I know you're a big proponent of the Rays. You got some strong comments on the ownership down here, so I want to get your thoughts on that. But first, how many hot dogs could you eat if we gave you a 10-minute time limit? I know you like to eat, brother. You like the chicken wings and the pizza and all that stuff. How many dogs could you put down if you were in a contest and you had to do it for 10 minutes?
I'm not putting down 62. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. And after watching that hot dog eating contest yesterday, Jason, I didn't want to eat any hot dogs at all. It made me sick to my stomach.
Just imagine what that commode was feeling about 3 hours later in New York.
I mean, and they had the sports science thing on ESPN some couple years ago where, and I get it, they may not be athletes. They may be athletes in your opinion. I don't know how they have to train themselves, but a normal stomach can't handle all those hot dogs, all that sodium, all that cholesterol. Right? It's a walking heart attack. But these competitive eaters, hats off. They train their bodies to eat as many hot dogs as they can so their stomach is, it can handle that. So to answer your question, the most hot dogs I ever ate in my life, I think was like...
Could you get to 10?
I think I get maybe 10. Maybe 10.
10 minutes. The clock's ticking.
See, I like you sit there and you watch it like they're not just eating the hot dogs, Jason. They're eating the bun. They're putting the bun in the water. Like it just looks so gross to me now. Like I wanted a hot dog yesterday, and then I turned on the hot dog eating contest, and I was like, nope. I think I'll eat something else. I'll probably eat a cheeseburger instead, maybe some fish or maybe some chicken. I'm not gonna eat, any hot dogs. Now, wings, all bets are off. I'm going to eat as many wings as I can.
How many wings could you put down in 10 minutes?
I think I could probably, you've seen this before. I think I could probably put down 25.
Okay.
25, maybe 30, depending on. And if it's boneless.
No, we're talking wings. Well, I mean,
wings. I think you've seen me before, man. When I'm hungry for sure.
You're not afraid to eat. You're not afraid to put it down.
Not. Definitely not.
You got to keep the figure in shape for your lady friend, man.
Right, exactly. I got to do that. I'm getting up there in age, so.
In all seriousness, people don't realize this professional eating is they have a league. It's not just the 4th of July competition. It's a series of events around the country, different foods. Yeah. I think some it's like barbecue and brisket somewhere, some places, and other places it's different stuff. So it's not just all hot dogs, and it's actually a league. These guys travel around the country and do different events in different cities and eat different foods. And I guarantee you Joey Chestnut's probably making $1 million a year in endorsements and prize money and all that stuff.
I'm just wondering who can stop him. Who can stop the guy with 16 straight mustard belts there? His record was 76, his record. I mean, is there anybody that's ever going to surpass that guy? Is he going to die of a heart attack?
That's going to be the interesting question is down the road. At what point will the health at some point, down, and he's a young guy. He's probably late 30s. He might be close to 35 to 40, probably. Be interesting to see what his lifespan is.
And there's women in that competition too.
Yeah, actually, the women's division. Oh, sure.
9-time. Her name is Mika Soto, and her husband actually lives in Port Richey. So
really?
there's some local flavor here. Maybe we can put it on the sports web and talk about competitive eating, but I'm just amazed by it. Like, my hats are off. You can make fun of them all day long, but it takes a lot of a sacrifice there. It's a lot of sacrifice to do what they do, and it just made me sick. So answer your question, chicken wings, probably more than hot dogs.
All right, let's get to the gridiron. Our favorite place to go. NFL training camp right around the corner. A couple of stories I want to get your thoughts on before we get to training camp. The gambling scenario that we saw suspensions last week announced by the league. Several guys, actually one guy, the Nicholas Petit Friere, Tennessee Titans offensive lineman, went to high school here in Tampa at Berkeley Prep. One of the guys that got 6 games. There's a variety of suspensions. There were 6-game suspensions. There was an indefinite suspension for a couple of guys for the Colts. Obviously, we saw the story trickle out in the last month or so about hundreds of bets were being made last year in the facility and stuff like that. What are your thoughts in general about the gambling policy that the NFL is trying to put forth here?
Well, it needs to be put forth, but it's disgraceful that you're talking about NFL football players in a competitive sport with all the integrity in the world, and there's a possibility of ruining that integrity with these type of bets, and it just makes you think with Isaiah Rodgers from the Colts, the greatest comeback in NFL history happened against the Minnesota Vikings. What if he put that prop bet in the second half? What if he bet on that game? What if it's the reason? Now that doubt is going to be in your mind. And before people say, well, it's not a big deal, it is a big deal because it takes the integrity out of the game. You don't know. Who would know more than what's going on in your own team? Would that be called insider trading? That would be illegal. That's illegal in the stock market. That's illegal in the NFL because he would know if Jonathan Taylor is going to be out with an injury.
And more so, there's so many guys that are around the league that are friends. You don't think there aren't text message chains of, hey, how is so-and-so? Is he going to play Sunday for the 49ers? Buddy, guys that know each other all in different teams. You're right. That to me, that's a big part is the insider injury information that you're going to be able to get from your people that you know in the league, your friends, guys you went to college with. They're on different teams.
Yeah, and because the NFL mentioned that, no insider information, you kind of think that maybe this is going on, which is frightful. And people go, well, it's just sports, sports entertainment. That's the problem. This is not wrestling. This is not AEW. This is competitive sports. And once you take that integrity out of it, then it becomes something different. And that is the whole reason why the NFL in the first place, yeah, it's great for the league as a whole to have all that money from DraftKings and all these, betting
casinos, Caesars, and all that stuff. Yeah,
all of it. Well, but my co-host Harry the Greek said it best. He got on the soapbox. I love to gamble. I love this and love that. But it is a bad thing when professional sports, especially in football, embraces the gambling aspect.
Should NFL guys in the league, if they choose and it's legal where they live, should they be able to bet on basketball or baseball or non-football games?
No. Why even take the chance? Because you don't know. You don't. And I was looking back the other day at Pete Rose, right? And the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame, because he gambled. Well, what did he gamble on? Well, he lied for so many years. He never gambled on his team. And then finally he said, well, I gambled on my team to win. Well, how do you know? I don't want any doubt. And if the NFL has any doubt and the fans have any doubt, then we got some problems. And for me, if the NFL really wants to take the gambling aspect out of it, number one, they're going to have to drop all their sponsorships. That ain't happening.
They ain't doing that.
Because that's going to affect their bottom line. Or two, you make it abundantly clear to these players in the league that are coming in, there is no betting, no gambling on any sports at any time. And if you do get caught, you get kicked out of the league for a long time. And I'm saying it's going to cost you a paycheck. It's going to be a year or more. And if they do it again, you're banned from the league. That's how you're going to take it out. And that may be, what's the word I'm looking for? That may be, hypocritical from the NFL standpoint because they are in bed with gambling right now. But you've got to protect the league's integrity. And if you don't do that, then again, you got some problems coming down the road with people saying, well, that game right there.
The players aren't the players going to make the argument? Well, why are you taking all this money, NFL? If it's legal where I live, if I live in the state of whatever, pick the state that is legal. Why can't I make a bet on the Rutgers in college football? Why can't I bet on Ohio State, or why can't I bet on the New York Knicks in a college NBA game?
because they
If
said
it's legal where I live.
right. If it's legal where you live, right, you got a point. It's almost like what with marijuana for so many years. I mean, they were against marijuana, and now it's become
They don't even test for it. They tell you when they're going to test for it once a year.
Do you think there is a possibility where the NFL actually has that mindset where they don't care what you? I can never see that. But you're exactly right. They are hypocritical. So it's a tough situation. My thing is, and what I'm really discouraged by was the report from Pro Football Talk that there's actually a superstar out there, Jason Powers, who lost $8 million in gambling. Who is that? And how do you lose $8 million? And I guess you kind of think, did he throw any games? Was there point shaving? Is it the reason why you saw so many calls last year? Are the refs in on it? Are the owners in on it? Are the coaches in on it? Are the family members in on it? Now,
the one good thing I'll say about the gambling side of this, now that it's legal in so many places and that it's online, is that it can be tracked. Whereas you're not betting with your local guy around in the neighborhood and you meet him at the bar on Tuesday and pay him, where it's all off the books. At least it's all through website. If it's through a website, it can be traced. Nevada Athletic Commission, all the different the casinos. The good thing is they can trace that stuff and it can be diagnosed to where it's coming from, who made the bet, exactly what time of the day, where were you when you made the bet. So those things that makes it a good thing to thwart the possibility of it being point shaving and things like, because that kind of stuff comes up in a hurry, in a heartbeat. Any kind of trigger in these software systems that say, well, Peter Blake, NFL player, just put $100,000 on a game, that's going to be a massive red flag, and those kind of things can be thwarted. Whereas if you're betting with your local guy, or if you're $8 million down to the mafia, that can't be tracked. It's much easier to influence a guy to potentially throw a game.
Well, again, that comes into play, and you've opened all that up now. You've opened everything up. You've opened up the mob, Vegas, casinos, who's in on it, who's not in on it. And I kind of want to be naive about this in that, remember the home run chase? Right, it was a great thing for baseball at the time. You didn't know anybody was juicing, but then you find out, and it kind of ruins your whole mindset on the whole deal. I want the same thing to happen here. I'm hoping that nothing comes out, Jason, about more gambling with players, but I fear like it's going to happen more and more. And so
the question is, once the first big name guy gets suspended, the first stud quarterback or stud running back or stud receiver, because right now there hasn't been any big. Calvin Ridley was he's been the biggest name so far, and that was a year ago. But what's going to happen if an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes or a big name Joe Burrow kind of guy gets suspended, gets dinged for something like that?
And if it is a superstar, does the NFL take it easy on him because it is a superstar? Because history shows that they do kind of take it easy on their superstars. If it's just a fringe player,
that'll be the litmus test. That will be the litmus test.
I mean, we'll have something to talk about on the Sports Web and on Powers on Sports podcast. That's for sure.
All right, give me a storyline. Give me an overall NFL storyline that you're going to be interested in heading into training camp. You got camp starting in about 3 weeks for most everybody. Give me a storyline that's going to be of interest to Peter Blake.
I mean, I think it's obvious that we're watching what's going to happen with the quarterback situation with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, but I'm kind of looking forward to what's going to happen in that AFC East with Aaron Rodgers, right? Coming to the Jets. Does he make them like Tom Brady? Does he make them a Super Bowl contender? How about the Buffalo Bills? And now Josh Allen
drama
and saying, oh, it's been overblown. No, it's not. And we know what distractions can do to a team. What about the Miami Dolphins with the weapons? So that division overall would definitely be a storyline for me. And the Lions, I think everybody's kind of curious, right? They're opening up versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They're everybody's darling. Everybody's picking them to get to the playoffs. Can they duplicate that effort from last year where they were one game away from being in the playoffs? So those are my kind of stories that I'm focusing on.
I'm going to give you one. I think the power of the AFC versus the lack of power of the NFC. Everybody thinks the AFC's loaded from probably 1 to 10. You could name 10 teams that you could make an argument for, whereas the NFC, you got Philly and San Francisco, and then who's next in line?
Right.
Who's going to rise up? People think, can Dallas do it? Can
Right.
somebody from the NFC South with New Orleans? Can a guy like Bryce Young in Carolina make a move? Can Chicago with Justin Field? That to me, that's going to be the interesting thing is what handful of teams from 3 to 7 in the NFC can rise up? Can the Buccaneers potentially make a move? What team that we're sleeping on can make a move in the NFC?
Well, don't ask Jason McIntyre of Fox Sports. He thinks the Saints are going to win not only the NFC South, but the NFC overall with Derek Carr. And I get it, but you got Dennis Allen there. If it were Sean Payton, that would be one thing. But Dennis Allen, what has he done in his coaching career? They have the defense there. They have some talent. They're going to be without Kamara for a little bit there. I don't know how that's going to affect the team. So I'm not sure who's coming out of the NFC, but the AFC is completely loaded, especially with young talent, talking about not only Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tua, plenty of
Lamar Jackson with some weapons now.
With Todd
OBJ.
Yeah.
I mean,
who's
and
the
can Tua stay healthy in Miami?
Right, Todd Monken.
If they can keep him upright in Miami, look out.
Well, and do they get Dalvin Cook? Who gets Dalvin Cook? Who gets
DeAndre Hopkins?
Right. I mean, do the Buffalo Bills? Do they make Stephon Diggs happy? Because that was the big time question mark. The reason why Diggs is so unhappy with the Buffalo Bills, he took a price cut because he was under the impression they were going to go after DeAndre Hopkins. Well, what's that do to Gabe Davis on the other side? Do they give in to Diggs? Because it seemed like you always had to give in to Diggs. He's a diva. He's a wide receiver. Thank God for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Jeez. Professional wide receivers. But because most of those wide receivers are divas, and Diggs is one of them.
All right, if you're fans here, again, Peter and I host the No Quarter Given podcast, which is a Bucks-centric podcast. We will be putting out a pre-training camp podcast here in the next week or so, kind of giving an outline of the offseason program, who's new to the looking over draft picks, kind of a training camp preview. So be on the lookout for the No Quarter Given podcast, part of the buckpower.com podcast network. Peter and I'll be hosting that again this year. And we'll be also doing some plenty of stuff here on the Powers on Sports podcast, NFL stuff leading into training camp. All right, I want you to promote your program. Tell everybody where they can find all your great stuff before we get to my couple MLB points I want to talk about.
Absolutely. It's a Sports Web alive on Facebook and YouTube. Go and like and subscribe to the Sports Web. Go to I Love St. Pete, the hub, and Amped Up Sports. As always, it's the evolution of sports talk television.
And tell everybody about you got a great little project you're starting as well. If other people are interested in doing some online production stuff that you'll be able to help them on that side if they have an interest in some help, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. PHB Studio Network. Bring your broadcast to life. If you want a live podcast or a recorded podcast or a live streaming show or commercial production or anything at the end of the day, you can definitely get it done with phbstudionetwork.com. Go there. The prices are all there. Professional equipment, of course. I'll be producing most of all of it.
And I'll say this, Peter. Peter's been fantastic with the production side of things. He's got camera equipment. He's really good on the technical side. We've done some live remotes last year at some different places, and Peter knows what he's doing as far as setting all that stuff up and getting us on the air and good quality. You can see if you're watching us on my YouTube channel, you see he's got logos in the background. He does a great job with what he does, and so definitely, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely reach out to Peter on that. All right, get you out of here on a couple MLB notes as we're about the All Star break.
Yeah.
I can't stand the All Star game. I got no interest in that. Are you a fan of the Home Run Derby at all? I know we got some local flavor with Randy Arozarena in it. Pete Alonso, who's a Tampa guy for the Mets, is in it. Give me your thoughts on the All Star weekend. Are you a fan of the game, Home Run Derby, or neither?
Absolutely a fan of it because it's the first Major League Baseball game I went to when I was 16, 17 years old, and care of the human lottery ticket, as we talk about, Mr. Uncle TJ Reeves actually won a ticket to a Legends game. Got George Foster at the time, who I didn't know much about. If he won the Home Run Derby contest, I would win all expense tickets to Texas Arlington Stadium to see the All-Star game in 1995. True story off of TJ Reeves and his radio show 820 The Team. So I absolutely love the All-Star game just because of that fact. But I want to see Tampa Bay guys do well here, especially Randy Arozarena. And I tell you right now, if he does well, I want to see Wander Franco congratulate him. Enough with this drama. Save that drama for your mama. Wander Franco, Randy Arozarena hugging with Randy Arozarena winning the home run derby contest. That's what I want.
Interesting thing is we at the halfway point of the MLB season, we got a lot of small market teams that are in the mix. We have the Reds, the Rays, Milwaukee, Milwaukee's in it, Minnesota's in it. Miami, the Marlins are playing really well.
Wow.
Whereas, and you got some of the huge market teams, the Padres, the Mets, not playing worth the flip. They'll probably be sellers at the trade deadline. And the small market teams, the Rays, the Reds, Baltimore is another example. They might be the buyers at the deadline. Talk about that kind of change as we approach the trade deadline.
Well, I love it, and it was music to my ears when the Rays general manager and Peter Bendex came out and said, we're going to go all in. Just paraphrasing, we're going to do everything we can to make this team get over the top and go to the World Series. I love it. I hope the Rays make a big-time move. I hope they kill the Yankees and the Blue Jays and the Orioles and the Red Sox, kill all the big market teams, make the move, go all in like the Tampa Bay Lightning, go all in like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And about the small market teams finally making that move, you know what? It's great for baseball. It really is. Parity is prevalent in baseball. We talk about it in football. It's good for the
player development. Good player development.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to give you a scenario and we'll get your thoughts. You've been very critical of the Rays ownership.
I have.
I'm going to give you a trade scenario. I want your thoughts. Would you do this? The Angels now in major free fall. Mike Trout out for 2 months. Rendon, Ohtani is going to be a free agent. All indications are he's not going to re-sign with the Angels. If you're the Rays, would you give up your top 2 to 3 minor league prospects, probably, and plus a major league player, a decent major league player, to rent Shohei Ohtani for 2 months? He ain't signing with Tampa. He's not signing with Tampa in the offseason. It's a 2-month rental. Would you sell your soul to some degree? The Rays are known for their minor league system. Would you go all out and give up your best 2 prospects and a player, or 2 or 3, a couple players and your best 2 prospects for Shohei Ohtani?
Absolutely, you do it, because you know what? When you sell your soul and you win that World Series, you get Shohei and you say, you know what? You can pitch, you can hit down here. You're in the confines of Tampa Bay here in St. Pete. It's a great atmosphere. And even though you're not going to get paid, you're going to win a World Series. And you know what? If you win that World Series, I don't think you can convince him. But
he ain't staying. I don't care if they win the World Series.
Well, I tell you right now,
the Rays can't afford to pay him $600 million over 10 years.
Right. You're exactly right. And again, this most likely will not happen. But if it did happen, you go all in. You convinced the city of St. Pete, the city of Tampa. When you win a World Series, now you deserve a new stadium. Absolutely go all in. And you know why, Jason Powers? Because you have faith. You have faith in this Rays ownership, and I know I've been very.
You've killed them.
I have.
You've killed them, and I've been on the other side of it. I've defended them a little bit.
Exactly right, but they're coming over to the dark side now. They're ready to make that trade, make that big time trade. You can develop some players at the end of it. Shohei Ohtani is probably the best player. No, probably about it. The best player right now in Major League Baseball. You had a chance to get him. You give up a couple prospects, possibly a player, maybe a Brandon Lau. I'm just saying I don't think he has a value, but maybe that's a player you give up with the salary. I go for it all day long.
I'm with you. I think that's an interesting scenario. If you're a Tampa Bay Rays, this is a chance, because one, the moment you got Shohei Ohtani, your ticket sales would double. For the remainder of the season, you would have 25 to 30,000 in that arena, in that stadium every night. It would be sold out every time he pitched, every time he started. And to answer the critics like yourself, you then and his salary, what he would be owed the rest of the year, is not outrageous, because he's making a good living, but he's not making $50 million a year.
No.
So what you would have to pay him for the last 2 months is very manageable, and what you would recoup in merchandise, ticket sales, and all the rest by bringing him in would more than pay for what you'd have to pay to get him. I think that is a team because they have the minor league players and they're so well respected around the league of developing minor league players. I think if I'm the Tampa Bay Rays, I offer up my best 3 minor league prospects and a marginal major league player with figure out what the Angels need, whether it's an infielder or a pitcher, and I go for broke with Shohei Ohtani for 2 months.
What about a Mike Trout?
Well, he's hurt. And you'd have to absorb his contract. He's got like 6 or 7 more years at $40 million, and the Rays can't do that. I'd rather go for Shohei for 2 months, roll the dice, because you would be the center of the baseball world if you went and got Shohei Ohtani for 2 months, and you're already the top team in the American League.
Wow.
What kind of impact would that have on the Tampa St. Pete market?
Sellouts every day, every night. Even on Tuesday and Wednesdays, I don't think
it'd be Tom Brady times 2.
It would be Tom Brady times 10. That's how unbelievable a player he is right now. I mean, where's his weakness?
I'd roll the dice if I'm the Rays.
Oh my gosh, go for it, do it. I don't think there's a general manager out there that wants to trade with the Rays.
No, if Anaheim's out of it, they want the best package they can get. Sure. And if they can get the Rays' top 3 prospects, knowing the history that the Rays had to have at developing players and probably a major league player too, I think this would be the place, because the likely candidates are the Dodgers, Yankees, but again, this is a rental. We know he's not signing here. It's a 2-month rental.
Well, and on the other side here, if the Angels, even if they are out of it, do you get rid of him? Can you sign him? Can you convince him? Or do you trade him to a team like the Dodgers and like the Yankees? And if a team like that picks him up, like the Dodgers, does that automatically put them World Series?
Oh, they jump up a couple notches.
That's scary in itself. I mean,
that's why if you're the Rays,
right,
you're in first place. This is your legitimate chance. You've got the offense this year. You've got pitching. Now you can go get the absolute executioner here to get you over the hump. To me, I'd do it if I'm the Rays.
It wouldn't even take me that much time. Make the trade.
And Peter Blake, you would even go to a game now, right?
Oh, I'd still go to games. I just haven't gotten a chance to go to a lot of games this year because, I'm working on a new business, everything else. But absolutely, I would go to games with Shohei Ohtani. I don't even think we could get a ticket to go to a game. We need to go to a game here. Me and you, our tag team partner in the world.
We do.
Yeah.
All right. Great stuff, Peter Blake. Thanks for the insight. Absolutely. Keep up the great work. We will be in touch soon. And again, check us out. If you haven't already done so, hit subscribe on the Powers on Sports podcast. Go to the Sports Web on Facebook for Peter Blake. Go to his, you can subscribe. The great thing about the Sports Web, you can call in. I don't care where you are, all over the country. You can call into the Sports Web. Peter talks NFL, baseball, basketball, big wrestling guy. Talk to me about the guy that died the other day. You had a wrestling guy die the other day, right?
Yes.
Darren Drozdov.
Yes, Drozdov. He was a former NFL player for the Denver Broncos, and his thing was he was puke, and he was actually in the movie Beyond the Mat, which took you behind the scenes of Mick Foley and The Rock and ECW, and he was one of the featured wrestlers, and the reason why he got a job is because he could actually puke, and he did it in front of Vince McMahon. Consequently, like a month later, he had a terrible accident with
in the ring. It was in the ring.
Yes.
Paraplegic, and
he just died. Yes, sir.
Yep. So Peter talks all that great stuff. You can call in the show. You can send comments. Again, Peter and I, he does a great job multiple times a week. He has his show on. Find it on Facebook, the Sports Web with Peter Blake. Again, No Quarter Given podcast, part of the BuckPower.com podcast network. Shout out to our guy Paul Stewart over in England. So that'll be coming out here as we get towards training camp. So great work, Peter Blake. Thanks for the time.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me some new walk-up music, please?
I got your walk-up music. What do you want for walk-up music so we don't get copyrighted?
Just no Nikolai Volkov.
I like the Nikolai Volkov, but I got the Florida State. I got the Florida State music. I can give you that.
There you go. I trust you, man. Just give me some good stuff.
I got you. Or give you the Nikolai Volkov again.
All right. Appreciate you finding us on the Powers on Sports podcast. Find Peter Blake on the Sports Web. Till next week, we'll see you next time on the Powers on Sports podcast. Have a great week and have a great, safe weekend.